Yesterday was a whole lot of fun watching this Angels lineup absolutely explode to destroy the Dodgers, but tonight in Texas in a new series, in a new venue, and the same old Angels return just 4 hits and 1 run in a 3-1 loss in Texas. We'll talk about the defeat, the return to abysmalness for the Angels lineup on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, I know abysmalness is not a word, but it is when you're talking about the Los Angeles Angels and this darn lineup. Man, yesterday was so fun, but tonight, back to our usual regular scheduled programming of doing very little, if not nothing. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo Hopefuls. Hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, directly after every Angels game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. I know it's been kind of a crazy week or so for the Locked On Angels Postcast. Obviously, I wasn't able to do either of the shows on Saturday or Sunday. Saturday because of that UCLA postcast that I did. Once again, I forgot how long football games take, man. That game started at 4:30. I was thinking it was going to end at 7:30. I would do the postcast till 8, then catch the end of the Angels game and do that show. But no, the game took over 3.5 hours. So, and unfortunately, I know you Angels fans would prefer me to prioritize the Halos, but you know, just because obviously football teams only play once a week, we're always going to prioritize the football team in those situations. Sunday, I wasn't able to make it either, moving into a new place. That's why you see this new background behind me. And I know it's boring. It doesn't have an Angels flag behind me, but we're going to get this thing going literally tonight. We're starting decorating this place, so it'll be closer to what we expect from a Gavin Carlson background. But let's talk about tonight. Obviously, the last couple of nights we did the crossover postcasts with Pete. That was a lot of fun, especially yesterday after that huge 10-1, just absolute bloodbath at the Big A, destroying the Dodgers. But tonight, the Angels return to their usual selves. Just 4 hits, just 1 run on an RBI ground out from Nolan Schanuel. That was all the Angels had, back to striking out double-digit times. How about 11 strikeouts? A good start from Jack Kochanowicz, but that's really the only positive in this one as the Angels fall to 58-82 on the season, 24 games below 500, and that road to 63 wins, it's looking like it's going to happen, okay? We can say that, but it's still not quite there yet. Before we jump into this one, a shout out to everybody in here. I know I started a little bit late, but we're able to get things started, you know, in this new place, still getting used to a lot of different things, but glad we're live and going. Shout out to everybody in here. Love seeing some of the normal faces, especially Jeff and Anaheim Angel, and everyone else. Appreciate you. And also a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Good thing that you don't need to actually win your wager on PrizePicks to get that, because it's kind of like the Angels. Good thing we don't need to win right now, okay? We're not looking for that. We're looking for individuals to perform well, to close out their 2024 campaigns with something to be proud of, with something to build on going into next year. And despite the offense underwhelming, I want to start by talking about Jack Kochanowicz, all right? I thought that he was impressive, and he's one of the guys. Obviously, there's plenty of players in this lineup that we want to see play well. Zach Neto was unbelievable tonight. 3 of the Angels' 4 hits coming from Zach Neto, the only other hit from Brandon Drury of all people. So definitely it is concerning that the Angels were able to get shut down. They were going up against a good starting pitcher in Cody Bradford, just a 3.05 ERA. Now, after this start, he's been very good. And so I'm not going to overreact too much to this lineup, the same way I tried not to overreact a little bit yesterday after the huge explosion. I want to talk about Jack Kochanowicz because this is becoming an interesting development for this team, for this rotation. Pete, you know, it's kind of fun doing the crossover postcast with Pete the last 2 days because you get to hear what someone who doesn't follow the Angels, what they think of this team. And he, like you'd expect from the guy who doesn't follow this team closely, oh, the pitching, it's all about the pitching. Now, it's easy for you to say that after yesterday when we put up 10 runs, but Of course, from the outside looking in, everybody knows that, wait, this team had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and they didn't do anything. Surely it's the pitching. And of course, it's been the pitching. But this year, it hasn't been the pitching, right? It has not been the pitching. And we've called up some guys to fill in this rotation that have exceeded expectations. You know, I keep saying that. And Jack Kochanowicz, who started his career about as bad as you can start it, four earned runs, 5 runs total in just 3 innings. Then he gave up 7 earned runs in 4 innings. But that was July. August, very solid. 2.45 ERA in his 4 starts. And then in his first start in September, a start I will certainly be satisfied with. 6 innings, gives up 8 hits. But shows resilience, only gives up 3 earned runs in 6 innings. That's a quality start. He gave up a home run. He had a walk. No strikeouts in 2024 is pretty crazy, but I don't care about that at all. This is a young pitcher who is just trying to have solid quality starts, and that's exactly what he did again tonight. And you have to give him a lot of credit for how bad it was, those first 2 starts. And a lot of people, including myself, were saying, this guy isn't ready. He is not ready for the show. You called him up from Double-A. What did you expect? But in his last 5 starts, the 4 in August, and now this one tonight, he has been better than you would expect. Certainly better than he was those first 2 starts, and he deserves his credit. And why I'm starting talking about him instead of what might be the story of this game in this poor offensive performance is because the big question, yesterday I was talking about, okay, what's it going to look like in the outfield? It's encouraging to see Mickey Moniak playing well. It's encouraging to see Taylor Ward playing well because you assume it's those 2 plus Mike Trout as your kind of everyday starting outfielders maybe. And then Rengifo's maybe playing second and Rendon's playing third. I know someone said in the chat, what about Christian Moore? I get it. If he comes in, maybe Rengifo does get moved to the outfield, but then maybe Trout gets moved to DH, right? Maybe Taylor Ward gets moved to DH. I think that is absolutely what I would do. But that's an interesting debate. But the most interesting and biggest question mark going into next year, obviously, is this rotation, right? The only names that are kind of penciled into the rotation for sure. Tyler Anderson, despite me and a lot of us thinking he should not be on this team because he should have been traded at the deadline. And I think this is the best year you're going to get out of Tyler Anderson. But he's going to be there. He'll be the ace. He'll be the opening day starter next year. You can almost guarantee that unless Artie Moreno actually opens up the checkbook and goes and signs a Corbin Burns or something. But it's going to be Tyler Anderson. It's going to be Jose Soriano. Hopefully, based on what we've seen, it's going to be Caden Dana because, boy, did he look good on Sunday. You assume he'll be like the 3, maybe even the 2 above Soriano. But 4 and 5 are up for debate. Reed Detmers has been encouraging, or has been, in his starts in this Dodgers series that just passed. He looked encouraging with his start. And I think Jack Kochanowicz is saying, wait a second, don't forget about me for the number 5 spot. Could it be Aldegeri? Sure. Is it Aldegeri or Aldegari? I don't know. Could it be the Italian stallion? Maybe. Could it be Chase Silseth? Who knows? Could it be Davis Daniel? Who knows? Could it be Jack Kochanowicz? And right now, I think of all the names, just because he's actually pitched pretty darn well in his last 5 starts, I think you have to maybe give the edge to Jack Kochanowicz. Maybe. Right? So if just looking forward, it would be, like we're saying, Tyler Anderson, Jose Soriano, Caden Dana, Reed Detmers, and I guess Jack Kochanowicz, maybe Chase Silseth. Obviously, would love to be Patrick Sandoval, but he's not going to be healthy. And I would love for it to be a different big starting ace that we go sign. In that case, Kochanowicz, maybe you go pitch in AAA and, become an even more quality big league level starter in the minors. But it's something to think about with this team, right? There's a decent chance that he is fighting for this 5th spot. And there's plenty of teams that are doing stuff like this right now. How many times do I have to keep bringing up that Blue Jays game a couple weeks ago, where the Blue Jays have a bullpen guy that, once they're eliminated from playoff contention, they decide we're going to bring this guy up to the starting rotation and see what he can do. He has a couple great starts, and then he no-hits our Angels through 8 innings, right? So you can find starters for the upcoming season right now in the last month of the season if you give guys opportunities, and we've given plenty of guys opportunities. That's why I was okay with Cueto having a couple starts, because we've exhausted all of our giving our young guys chances, right? We gave Davis Daniel a couple tries. He looks okay. I think Jack Kochanowicz is kind of a similar pitcher. Not crazy throwers of baseball, but maybe they can develop into good pitchers, right? Versus obviously guys like Jose Soriano, Caden Dana to some degree. I think those are guys who can be throwers and pitchers, right? Have electric stuff, but also be creative, be strategic with their pitch sequences, and also force a lot of ground balls, a lot of double plays. I think Kochanowicz and Davis Daniel are really just good pitchers in that they are going to have solid pitch sequences, hopefully have decent control. I mean, we saw it, 0 strikeouts. How often do you see a guy not strike out a single guy and only give up 3 runs in 6 innings? I think that's pretty encouraging, right? And so it'll be interesting to see. If it's between Kochanowicz and Davis Daniel, I think right now I take him. If it's between those two and Aldigeri and Chase Silseth, I don't know. Maybe you pick Aldigeri because he's the youngest of the bunch. But it's not like Jack Kochanowicz is old or anything, a 23-year-old in his own right. It's an interesting thing to talk about. He looked good today. He was resilient. I love the low walk numbers. That's something you really like to see. He only has, if I can do quick math, he's got he had 3 walks in the entire month of July and 2 starts. Then he had 4 walks in the entire month of August and 4 starts, and then 1 walk today. So if I could do some quick math, that's 7, 8, 9, 12 walks in 7 starts. That's okay. And in his last 3, just 1 walk, that being tonight. So I've been pretty satisfied with what I've seen from Jack Kochanowicz. And above all else, I love the resilience. After as bad of a start of a career as you can have, he has settled down. And that's all you want to see at this point in the year. When your team is 24 games under 500, they're not competing for anything, right? So with all that being said, we'll take our first break here. When we come back, we'll talk about the lineup because, like I said, it was a lot of fun yesterday talking about what this lineup could be in a game, seeing a performance like yesterday. But at the end of the day, we all know we're not there yet, and tonight was a reminder. We'll take our first break, and when we come back, we'll talk about that lineup. We'll get to Gavin's good, bad, and ugly. We'll get to your comments and more here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is once again brought to you by PrizePicks. If you somehow don't know, even though I praise this app all the time because it is wonderful, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps where you got to compete against all these people with these algorithms and these AI generated regression models and all that jazz, no. It's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, in the month of September, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right, only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. I made the mistake of not doing any PrizePicks lineups for tonight's Chiefs game. I don't know what the score of that game is right now. Let's look it up quickly. 20-10. I will be honest. I have Patrick Mahomes on my fantasy team. I have Rashee Rice on my fantasy team, and I have the Chiefs defense on my fantasy team. So I'm liking that 20-10 score. I'll certainly be tuning into that once I finish up the show here. But yes, not only football, they've got all the jazz on PrizePicks, everything to make some lineups on. Right now, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. So get in on the best way to get sports action going. Some states, sports betting isn't legal, but in a state like California where that's the case, PrizePicks is. California, Texas, Georgia, and more. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson, back with the first regular Angels Postcast. No crossover, no absences. The first time since, I think, Friday or something. So excited to be back to this normal, regular scheduled programming. And unfortunately, the Angels lineup returned to its regular scheduled programming of being a bad lineup. Just 4 hits, 3 of them from Zach Neto, just 1 run. They had as many errors as runs. So you never like to see that. Taylor Ward, who has been red hot, he was okay tonight. Had a walk and scored the only run of the game. Obviously, Zach Neto was great, and Nolan Schanuel did have the RBI. But other than that, bad looks all around. Kevin Pillar goes 0 for 4. Boy, has he collapsed. Would have been nice to get anything for him at the deadline. Joe Adell back to one of his typical performances, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He did have a walk. Brandon Drury, the only other hit of the game, he was 1 for 4, but he still had 2 strikeouts. LeBlanc, I don't even know why we play this guy at this point. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He did have a walk as well. Matt Thaiss, who actually usually steps up when he gets opportunities. I'm glad to see Logan O'Hoppe got the day off. I'm really glad to see that. Boy, does he need it. He had a home run in that Dodger series, which was good, but please keep giving this guy some time off. He's really struggling. He's not going to gain anything in the last month at this point. So just, let him. We don't want to see him, be completely drained emotionally and physically in the last month of the year with how bad of a stretch he's been in the middle of. And then Michael Stefanik goes 0 for 3 with a strikeout as well. So just real bad. Normally the issue is hitting with runners in scoring position. Only 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position tonight. Of course, you go 0 for 3 in those. Luckily, one of those 0 for 3s, outside of that, you have a ground out for an RBI from Nolan Shanuel. But one of those games where you fell behind early, all 3 runs coming in the first inning for the Rangers in this 3-1 Halo defeat. Other than that, Jack Kochanowicz, talk about the resilience. We talked about his ability to come back from 2 really bad starts to start his career with a really impressive month of August and then a solid start here to open the month of September. But very similarly in this game, gives up 3 runs in the first inning and then nothing the next 5. Really impressed with him. The bullpen was obviously perfect, and the bullpen was just Zephyr John. 2 innings pitched, gives up 2 hits, but has 2 strikeouts, doesn't give up any runs. His ERA is at 2.84. Got to give him credit. He's looked pretty darn good since he's been up on the roster. Anthony Jimenez distracted me with a hilarious comment. He says, triple-digit weather, make sure you drink your liquid IV. That's funny. That is very funny. Luckily, my new place has air conditioning, and so I'm not going to be dripping sweat like I have been in previous postcasts. I know you guys were calling me out for that sometimes, and certainly I was talking about the liquid IV a lot. The lineup tonight didn't have liquid IV, that's for sure. Let's get to Gavin's good, bad, and ugly, and we're going to keep this one nice and simple. I'm going to say the good is Jack Kochanowicz, because I thought that was a quality start from him, right? I think he deserves the credit. I'm going to say the other good is Zach Neto, 3 for 4. The average is up to 257. The OPS at 773. If you can get that average over 260, who knows? Maybe if you can even get that OPS over 800 before the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen, but still, it's been a very solid season for Zach Neto. He's had a rough, actually, couple, past 4 weeks or so since he was red hot to end July and open August. He's actually had a rough couple of weeks, so it's good to see him have a big performance tonight where he didn't have to do it with, a couple triples and all that jazz, just 3 singles. I don't know why I keep saying all that jazz tonight. I think that's the first time I've ever said that in my life, and I've said it like 3 times on this postcast. I don't know what that is. That game yesterday still has all of us a little bit out of sorts because I don't know what happened yesterday. That was a lot of fun, though. Shout out to all of you for jumping in to that one. But yeah, the 2 goods, Kochanowicz and Zach Neto. The bad, quote unquote, will just be the lineup as a whole. I think just, obviously anytime you only have 4 hits. Once again, Cody Bradford, a solid pitcher. He is a lefty, which normally I think would favor this team because you think of some of the big hitters on this team in terms of Zach Neto, primarily. Obviously, O'Hoppe didn't play tonight. Actually, maybe less of a righty-heavy lineup than normal. But still, you look at it. Ward a righty, Neto a righty, Pilar a righty, Adele a righty, Drury a righty. In that early order, I would have liked to see O'Hoppe maybe get the start against a lefty and then maybe take the day off against a righty or something. But still, you should do better than this, right? Cody Bradford has been solid, like I'm saying, just barely over a 3 RA. But we're not talking 4 hits for the whole game. He was pretty darn good. He ends up just giving up 2 hits in 6 innings. He had 2 walks, just 4 strikeouts, but certainly good enough. And then the bullpen was just about perfect. Leclerc only gives up 1 hit and a walk in his inning, kind of a chaotic inning, but nothing really happening. And then Robertson, 3 strikeouts, 1 hit, but strikes out the side in the 8th, and then Yates gets the save in the 9th, striking out the side. That's as bad as it gets. But yeah, the lineup I'd say is the bad. And then in terms of the ugly, really that bottom part of the order was no good. LeBlanc, Thaiss, and Stefanik, they combined to go 0 for 8 with 3 strikeouts. Joe Adele, I don't know if it's ugly because he did get on base with the walk. But yeah, that's kind of the conclusion there. I guess you have to give Zephyr John put him in the good category as well. 2 innings with no runs, just 2 hits. So he was pretty solid as well. Nothing really that notable in this game, to be honest. Just the first inning, 3 runs for the Rangers, thanks to the 3-run home run from Adolis Garcia. Semien scored, Josh Smith scored, and just like that, with only 1 out, it's 3-0. But once again, I'm fine with it because Kochanowicz responded after that. When we come back from our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, we'll get to your comments, and then I'll say, what are we looking for in the remainder of the 2024 season? Like I was saying, we are just 5 wins away from avoiding 100 losses. But let's not forget, we are also excuse me, I don't know the exact math, but I think we're like 10 wins away from not having the worst record in Angels history. So certainly there's stuff to play for there, but also what are we looking to see? We kind of, gave a sneak peek talking about Kochanowicz and the state of the rotation. That's obviously probably the biggest question mark, but we'll get into that in greater detail after our last break here on this edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, finally, today's show is brought to you by Ibata. I haven't got the opportunity to talk about Ibata in a while. Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer, but don't stress about the cost. Use Ibata and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all of your summer essentials. Are you taking that dream vacation this summer but dreading the cost? With Ibata, you get cash back on all of your purchases so you can spend more time making memories this summer and less time dreaming about them. Ibata is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibata user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibata, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Ibata. Back here live one more time on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'm Gavin Carlson. If you don't know who I am, I forgot to mention it. I spent the last 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area, specifically covering UCLA sports. You see the UCLA helmets behind me. We're going to have a nice setup behind me. I promise you. It's going to be even better than what you've seen in the last couple of months in multiple apartments. This is my final destination, okay? We were in my apartment for the rest of my college career. Then we had my subletting apartment the last couple of months. This is the place. I signed the lease. It's mine. It's only mine. Big moves. We were talking about it yesterday with Pete. But yeah, so I get to fully deck out this room, make the background look extra spiffy for the last couple of weeks of the Angel season. And obviously, I'll also be doing the UCLA postcast and the Rams postcast as well. Still TBD on basketball. We'll get to that at some point when the basketball season starts. But with all that being said, once again, the Angels lose 3-1 tonight. Let's jump into your comments and then talk a little bit more about what we're looking for the remainder of the year. Jeff opens it up saying, figures we lost after scoring 10 runs last night. Yeah, you kind of expected that, unfortunately. He says we'll probably get swept. I hope not, Jeff. I hope not. And he says, Gavin, I appreciate you and all that you do. I appreciate you as well. And I'm Angel agreeing with Jeff saying it looks like we scored all of our runs for the week on that Dodgers win. Hopefully it's not for the week. Hopefully it's just for tonight. That was interesting. Pete was saying he was expecting kind of one bad performance from the Dodgers after all the energy they had to use in that Diamondback series. They didn't use it 2 days ago, although let's be honest, we outplayed the Dodgers 2 days ago also and didn't get the win. So certainly the baseball gods rewarded us with an absolute drubbing of the Dodgers yesterday. Anaheim Angel says we have to have our cake and eat it. Kochanowicz is looking solid. Give it a year or two, and maybe we can score some runs for him. Yeah, for real. Right now, all we can worry about is having a rotation that we can be a little bit more confident in. And, I mean, let's be honest. Based on what we saw from Caden Dana, certainly we love that. Tyler Anderson, I don't think he'll be as good as he was this past year next year, but I think he'll still be good enough to have as one of your top 3 pitchers. I think Jose Soriano can certainly take a step up. It's his first year as a starter, barely even a full season as a starter. I know he hasn't been healthy lately. We're taking our time with him, but he certainly, you know how much of a fan of Jose Soriano I am, and I think he can easily be a quality number 3 guy in a rotation. I think Caden Dana has potential to be a number 2. Tyler Anderson will be the ace going forward, and yeah, like we were saying earlier, Kochanowicz can fight with Davis Daniel, with Alec Jerry, with Chase Silseth, with Reed Detmers for those last couple of spots in the rotation. Anthony Jimenez, what up? He says pitching has been looking good lately. It's the offense that has been inconsistent is what I think you meant there. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it all year, and especially the last couple of months. For everyone who's saying, you know, there will be the occasional game where the Angels give up 8 runs, and then everyone goes, oh my God, look at the pitching, look at the pitching. And my thing is always, come on. These are a bunch of guys that have been thrown into this rotation that weeks prior were pitching in Double-A, or weeks prior were Johnny Cueto, or weeks prior were relievers, right? Carson Fulmer was one of our most regular starting pitchers for most of this year, right? So, and even with all that, they were usually not the problem. I mean, we had like 3 weeks where we scored more than 5 runs like once, right? So I totally agree. I don't even think it's lately. I think it's the last couple of months, Anthony, that the pitching staff has exceeded expectations basically the whole time. Yes, Taylor Ward's hitting streak is over, he adds. That is unfortunate. He's really been playing well. I mean, it's kind of funny. Even though he's had this big, long hitting streak, the average hasn't really gone up that much. The OPS hasn't really gone up that much because he only gets like 1 hit a night. But still, it was nice to see him at least look like he cared about baseball during that streak. Anaheim Angel says, it's nice to see Ward hitting after not doing much all year. I hope the Angels don't keep him. He might need a different location to develop or become consistent. I don't think there's much time to develop for this guy. He's a veteran now. He should be developed. At this point, he kind of is what he is, which is probably maybe not a 240 hitter like he's been this year, probably a 250, 750 OPS guy, which is certainly okay, but it's not good enough to be one of the best hitters on your team, one of the highest paid players on your team, a leadoff hitter this year. Certainly, I don't think he's any of that. There is a situation where Taylor Ward is hitting 6th next year or something, and that's actually a pretty good scenario, right? If Mike Trout is back, if Rengifo is back, let's talk about it right now. What is this lineup? It could easily be Rengifo first, Zach Neto seconds, and that's becoming his spot. Nolan Schanuel thirds, and that's becoming his spot. Mike Trout fourth, and then probably Taylor Ward fifth with, I don't know, Mickey Moniak sixth or something. That's okay. That's an okay top 6, right? From there, I guess it's Rendon 7 and maybe a Christian Moore 8 and a Nico Cavadas 9 or something, or a Joe Adell. But that top 6 is okay. I'm fine with Taylor Ward hitting 5th or 6th in a lineup. I don't want to see him hitting leadoff, right? I don't think that is the sign of a good team or a team that's going to compete at all next year, which I don't know if we're doing that, but I think we should be trying to have a 500 record, not a 24 game below 500 record. And so, yes, I agree that Taylor Ward, it's nice to see him doing better right now, but he's not a guy who we could talk about developing. That's these young guys. That's Zach Neto. That's Nolan Schanuel. That's Joe Adell even still before it's Taylor Ward. That's for darn sure, but still okay to see that for him. Anaheim Angel finally says, besides Kochanowicz, a typical Angels blah game. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I kind of talked about next year and stuff more than this game itself. This game just didn't really have anything. It was basically over after the first inning. Glad the Angels put up 1 in the 3rd, but that was really the only time they even threatened. And then innings 4 through 9, really nothing to talk about. And that's why we talk about Kochanowicz. We talk about the performances from Neto and Ward and a few others. And then main thing is we start looking forward to next year. Now, for the rest of the season, what I want to see, I would love to see Zach Neto get that average over 260 by the end of the year. That would be great. I think Schanuel and Ward should try to push to get to 250. That would be nice as well. The main thing is I want to see, the rest of the starts from Caden Dana and Aldigari. I need to figure out the pronunciation so I don't mess this up going forward because I keep going back and forth between the two. But the Italian Stallion, that's what I'm going to call him, and Caden Dana, really want to see what they can do the rest of the year. If we can be confident that they're going to be starters for us going into next year. Same thing with Kochanowicz, right? So I'd say those are the priorities. You'd love to see guys like Taylor Ward, like, even Brandon Drury, Matt Dice, some of the veterans kind of improve their averages going into next year, knowing that they're probably still going to be on the team. But the priority is always the young guys, having them improve. Maybe Logan O'Hoppe can get out of a bit of a funk just so he goes in the offseason, not thinking he needs to change a billion things and just, tweak a few things so he can get back to the best version of himself. But with all that being said, we'll wrap this one up. Rangers 3, Angels 1 in the series opener in Texas. Jack Kochanowicz with a pretty impressive start. I know he's 2-4. I know the ERA is still 4.89, but the last 5 starts from him have been quite encouraging. What wasn't encouraging, just 4 hits from the lineup tonight, just 1 run. Zach Neto was great, 3 for 4. We know he will be here next year. We know he'll be here hopefully for the next decade or so, but we'll see about everybody else in this lineup. Shout out to everybody in here. Glad we can get back to a normal Locked On Angels postcast. No crossover, no absences, back to our regular scheduled programming. And let's have the same thing happen tomorrow, but with a win. Okay, shout out to everybody in here. Have a great rest of your Thursday night. I'll see you back here tomorrow night, hopefully after a dub against the Rangers. Take care, everybody. And as always, go Angels. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.